Okay, people. First podcast in English, and it will be Josh, our host in English.
There we go.
Thank you, Josh, for accepting this invite to the host in this podcast, Music and Mezcal. That's the reason we are drinking mezcal too.
I can't wait.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. You sip it, don't do shots.
Just sip?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good. It's tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
And I think you will be a fucking great host here to interview the people in English. Also because you're a musician. I'm more in the video image kind of stuff.
Right.
But also about the people that will listen this podcast and see this podcast in YouTube, I want to share with us all your story, your background in the music.
Yeah.
I heard a crazy story when I was hiking with Scott and Lua
About
how you started in music, and it was in the church.
Yeah.
Like in the chorus, something like that?
Not like in necessarily a classic version of a church band, like a choir or anything like that.
Okay.
There was no organ involved.
Oh, okay.
It was very like new age Christian rock and roll, like a band with a pop rock band.
Okay, like Creed.
No. yeah, a little bit maybe. Yeah.
That was your first encounter with music, or you have?
No, I mean I grew up in a Christian house.
Okay.
For the first 15 years, we were kind of Christian.
Okay.
And so we went to church, and there was always a band that played big, emotional songs, and everybody would sing together, and it was kind of cool.
Okay.
But when I was 8 or 9, my mom started getting into country music singing. And so she recorded a few albums and performed. And I had all these musical buddies that she'd go and record at the studio with. And then they were done at the studio.
Okay.
They'd come home and they'd all drink and smoke and sit in our living room and play music. And we had a piano and a couple of guitars.
And you're watching this.
Yeah. This is from when I was 8 until probably around 15. This was something that happened in my house. Like, not every weekend by any means, but
you have contact with the music, and you're watching that your mother was playing, and
and then I would go get my drums and bring them out and play along. And I'm sure all the guys didn't love that the 10-year-old was playing drums off beat, but it taught me how to play. It's also the first room that was the first time I sang in front of anybody. I was probably 8, 9, or 10. Yeah,
because it's not so many. You're a drummer, but not so many drummers that sing, right?
Yeah, it's not very common.
Yeah,
it's not very common.
It's always the guys that are in the back.
Exactly. It's because they're not. Everybody who sings wants the spotlight at the front of the stage.
Yeah.
So they don't want to be, confined behind a drum set.
Yeah.
But I'll often jump off my drum set and jump to the front of the stage, anyways, and go back and forth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was your first contact with the music?
Yeah, and my grandma was a country music singer when she was in her 20s and 30s. She used to come down back before East Hastings was a drug den.
Yeah,
it used to be really cool in the 60s and 70s with all the clubs. All the music clubs were down here. And so there was 10 different bars you can go see live music at. All down the strip. And she used to come down and sing at all the bars. And she's recorded many, many albums.
What is the name of your grandma?
Her name, I'm trying to remember what the maiden name would have been. She's been married a few times.
Okay.
Back then, I believe it would have been Marty, either Marty Spencer or Marty Moline.
Okay. If not, I will put it.
Or it might have been Marta. I'm not sure exactly what she went by, but.
And the time
you can't find it on the internet. It's not going to show up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I doubt. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
You know what? Fuck, maybe you can.
Yeah, we can search.
I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, will be great.
Yeah, we were at a family function recently, and we were all sitting around the table, and we were kind of reminiscing about my mom's the music stuff. And my sister looked up my mom's album and to see if it was anywhere.
Okay.
And there was one copy of it left on Amazon, and it was
Wow, on Amazon.
Yeah.
I would think you would say like in a record store and somewhere.
There's one copy on Amazon, and it was like $30. And we were all just laughing because we were like, who put this up here? Like, is this somebody we know?
Yeah.
She didn't sell any albums outside of BC, really.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit, but not much. She was mainly just a local country artist.
Yeah.
But it was funny.
So, well, you come from a family of musicians.
Very
So your
much so,
grandma, your mother, you, your siblings play some instruments?
My sister can,
Okay.
but doesn't really do it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mainly.
Right.
But she used to sing a lot, but I think she didn't want to just be another one of the musicians in the family. A lot of our family functions end up with everybody sitting around the piano, and it used to be real fun.
That's cool.
And
That's like,
it's still really fun.
yeah.
But in the last couple of years, it's kind of gotten to a point of almost like, all right, we got to go do this now. So grandma's happy. You know.
Yeah. But it's cool. Like I will love to play, like know to play the piano. Hopefully I will take a lessons online or something and buy one, and hopefully I can do it in a few years in the future.
You can. And once you start kind of hearing yourself like, oh, I just did something that sounds good.
Yeah.
It's really motivating to
Yeah.
keep on.
Yeah, like when you're like advancing in something.
That's the one thing I'm really glad my parents forced me to do was take piano lessons from when I was like, I still can't read a note. I can't read notes.
So you are that guys that know how to play drums, know how to play the keyboard and everything, but you cannot read music.
No. I was always
I was talking about with an Argentina girl the other day here, and he said like, well, you know, like we learn to speak when we are little kids, and after in the school they teach us to read, and that makes me sense. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes tons of sense.
Yeah,
I used to, my piano teacher would play me something, and instead of reading the notes back, I would just kind of listen to it and see what you did, and then just kind of do it by ear often.
Okay.
And so I was good enough at that just to kind of get by everything. But then as soon as it became like, I don't actually know how to do all the other stuff, I stopped taking lessons. But in those, I think I took lessons about 2 years. And in those 2 years, I figured out where the chords were and how to make a major and minor and the kind of progressions and enough to be able to
understand
and slowly teach myself after because based on what I knew before.
Yeah.
And I'm not a great piano player, but I can sit down and play some chords.
Yeah.
It's a nice it's my favorite way to write music because I play guitar too, but it's very, very limited. and writing on the drums often doesn't make fucking sense. So that's usually where I write music. Although I haven't had a working piano in my house for about a year. Because at Guilt&Co with Bradley, one of the nights we were playing there, one of the first nights we were playing there, this is still during COVID times because I remember people had to sit down. I had a beautiful Nord Electro 3 that I'd had for 10-ish years. It's a really reliable, awesome keyboard. And I had a really tall gin and tonic. They needed sitting right on the edge of my piano.
Yeah.
And the ironic part of it is I was playing Billy Joel's Piano Man.
Okay.
And in the song, it references a tonic and gin. What's the line? I'm about to get a friend of mine, making love with his tonic and gin. And I'm not joking. Within a few seconds of that, the gin and tonic falls onto my keyboard, and completely fries the motherboard.
No.
I still have it in my storage room because I don't want to. It means a lot to me just to have it.
Exactly.
But
it's a good memory there.
Yeah. It was my little baby for 10 years, and I haven't got a new one yet. So I need to do something, because having a piano in my house is also super motivating. Every time if you have a piano set up constantly, you're gonna walk by and just play it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have to go get it, set something up, or go,
There was a program in France. They put pianos to play in the airports.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just put it in the gates or near the gates and everything. So you see little kids playing, or since another people is coming who knows how to play, and then just play, and everyone is like relaxing and watching random guy playing piano, waiting for the flight. And I think I read that like maybe 7 years ago, and I was thinking like, wow, this is a great program. Just some instruments to the public.
There was a similar thing in Vancouver. There's still a couple pianos, I think, popped around Vancouver. There used to be a lot more. I think they put a bunch out and like painted them different colors and stuff a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, I think, probably got trashed and abused.
Yeah.
But there's one in the London Drugs over there in Nestor's.
Yeah.
There's one in the lobby in that area.
Yeah, they just put it like a few weeks ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
and I was there buying, and it was somebody playing.
They must be still kind of doing it slowly.
Yeah,
There's been a few times I've run into pianos out in the streets. I don't know if maybe they just move them around, or maybe just the same one.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the last survivor of the pianos.
Yeah, you can get a piano so easy. I really want to have one for my house, but the biggest thing is I live on the 6th floor, and the elevator doesn't go up to the 6th floor.
Yeah. And that stairs are a little tight, no?
A little bit tight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to probably hire a crane or something.
Yeah.
To get it on my patio.
Yeah. And, that will be great.
The piano will be free. Getting it into my apartment will cost me $600.
Exactly. Hey, and after when you're like a little kid, 12 years old, you told me that you have your first encounter with music with your mom, and you play your drums there. Then you go to high school or junior high.
Mm-hmm. And I went to a Christian school.
Okay.
And a lot of there's chapel and like kind of makeshift church services.
Okay.
During the school.
Yeah.
And I was always musical, but I always wanted to kind of be the guy on stage doing anything. Okay. No matter what it was. Like I want to be the one up there.
Yeah.
And so being one of the musicians for the bands in church was always that opportunity
to play a lot.
To play, yeah. And so that's where I started playing. I did it pretty much every week for probably the last couple years of my high school life. But also at the same time, I was going to a couple different youth groups and churches. Not because I loved going to church, but because I was
playing
on the bands, right? Yeah. And after we'd play a service, they'd let us
hang out
and play on the instruments afterwards.
Yeah. So you have it for you and the band?
Yeah, exactly. So we'd play for an hour at the service and sit through the stupid youth pastor talking about stupid, not having sex before marriage. Yeah. Don't do drugs. And get through the service, and then as soon as the service is done, we'd go up and play, and we would play, old rock and roll songs and just jam with each other.
Yeah.
So that was
cool, because you have that time, and then you have your instruments and the audio equipment and everything.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
A couple of the senior people in the church didn't love that we played secular music on the stage.
Yeah.
We're playing like old time rock and roll. It's not like we're not swearing and but they didn't like it because it wasn't glorifying God.
Yeah,
selfish cunt.
And don't let the kids play and don't be in the streets. Be there in playing music. Like it don't make sense.
Yeah. It was I learned how to do pretty much everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and then out of high school, I went to a music Bible college in Australia, in Sydney, Australia.
You live in Australia?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
18 and 19.
Why you don't have Aussie accent?
No, I used to be able to do it real good, but I just can't really do it. I'm not good at doing it anymore. But it's actually funny because when I got back, I was 20 or 21 or something. And I was really, really, really good at doing the accent. Like I could change it. I could completely fall into it because I'd been around it for a couple of years.
You went to Sydney, Australia to live, but how many years?
2.
2.
Yeah. Not quite 2, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I went to this big music program through a Christian music program. So like
ready to make the next great band
worship album. It was a place called Hillsong in Sydney. They're known all around the world these days for not great things. There's a few documentaries that just came out.
Okay.
That don't paint them in the greatest picture, but at the time I really, really enjoyed it. I would never fucking do it again.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But at the time it was great. And but so anyways, when I came back, I was really good at doing the language or the accent.
The accent.
And I remember me and my band would go on Canadian tours. So we're traveling around Canada. And I would see how long I could do it for.
Okay, so you always speaking in Aussie?
So when we were on tour, I was just Australian. That was who I was.
Hey, hello, I'm from Sydney.
Yeah. And I remember, I got caught a few times by random people.
Like, hey, I'm from there, and
well, no, like I'd be talking to the venue manager or something, and just putting it on the whole time. Mm-hmm. And then I'd be in the back with the boys and not talking like that, and they'd come in or something like.
They're like, what?
Yeah, like, I just put it on. It's all right. I can't do it now. I'm not good anymore. But yeah, it was good. I got back from Australia and again was doing a lot of church music. But also,
when do you have that band you are talking about? Doing the tour in Canada?
Pretty much like a year after I came back. I joined a band that was already a band.
Okay.
They were called The Left.
The Left.
Left.
And
I think you can still find
how old are you in that time?
Probably 21.
21. You're super young, man.
Yeah, and they were all older than me. They, the oldest guy was probably 7 or 8 or 9 years older than me, and the youngest guy in the band was still like 4 years older than me. So at the time, I was the baby of the group.
The baby of the group. And you are playing their drums?
No, I was playing the organ and keys.
Okay.
Yeah. Organ and keys and any kind of MIDI keyboard stuff. And doing a little bit of singing, a little bit of backup singing.
Okay.
But never the lead. I sang a few songs.
Original music?
Huh?
Do you play, that band was about original music?
Yeah. We only played originals, and it was, we made several, they made several albums. I made a couple with them. Got to work with some really cool people.
Cool.
The last album we did was recorded and produced by Garth Richardson, who produced Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Biffy Clyro.
And this guy was here in Vancouver.
Yeah, he's based in Vancouver. He actually he owns Nimbus Recording Studios and recording school now.
Cool.
It used to be just a recording studio when we were working with him, but now I think he's got pretty much the biggest recording school in Vancouver.
Super nice.
Just about anybody who is coming up in the industry now has some kind of connection to Nimbus. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vancouver is like every time that I just read more about Vancouver and people from Vancouver, I really find some interesting things or characters who born here or they base here, or I don't know. Did you find
Yeah,
a lot of good
I've
stuff?
recorded in most of the studios in town. And it's when you go into the studios, you see on the walls all the records that have been recorded there. And it's a who's who of everybody.
Yeah.
I remember I was, I forget the name of it. It's in Kits. I should know this.
It's in Kits.
I should know this. I should know the name, but I don't. But I remember we were in I was recording vocals in there, and the guy had a list of mics, a bunch of mics I could choose to use. And he was just kind of telling me who's used each one. And you know, Steven Tyler did a thing with this one. Lenny Kravitz did a thing with this one.
Wow.
Steven Tyler's one of my heroes. I'm like, I want to sing in that mic. Give me that. I want my lips to be where his lips have been once.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But
yeah, pretty cool.
I was with that band for a couple of years, maybe 5, maybe a little bit longer than that, 5, 6 years. And then we were on a tour, and we did a lot of stuff. We opened for a lot of really big bands. We went on a tour opening for Blind Melon. You know that? You know Blind Melon?
Yeah.
The lead singer of Blind Melon
died.
Yeah, exactly. All I can say is that my life. Yeah. In 1994, the lead singer of Shannon Hoon overdosed in the tour van, in the tour bus. And the guys in the band came back and found him dead in the tour bus. And they broke up the band, obviously, after that, because he was the voice of the band.
Yeah.
And years and years went by, and this is probably, I don't know, maybe 2008.
Okay.
2008.
2008.
They got back together because 2 of them owned a recording studio together in LA. Okay. And this guy that had been coming in and doing projects there was such a good singer and vibed with them and kind of, you know, made them want to be, hey, maybe we do the band again with this guy. So they got this guy to come in, and we did the first ever tour that they were back together with. And it lasted 8 shows. by the end of it, they'd broken up again.
No. Yeah. What happened?
I think the new guy just didn't really vibe. It didn't work out.
But you opened.
We opened for across Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It was really cool. It was really, really cool. But by the end of the tour, it was over. It was over again. And we did a lot of local things. We were always involved in the local scene and project, and any little contest. If the Roxy was doing something, we'd go and be involved in it. Yeah. We were in the first ever Peak Performance Project, which was a contest. I think it's done now, but it was a contest done by the Peak radio station, funded by Jimmy Pattison, to put some money into local music. Okay. And so they would get 20 bands, a lot of money, and give everybody kind of something and exposure and radio play. And the top 3 got a bunch of money. So the winners got $150,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, second place got 75, and third place got 50. I think it maybe went down over the years, but that was the first year.
Yeah, well,
and we came second.
They put you like 1 year for.
Oh no, yeah. We came second when we did it, and it paid for a lot of stuff for us. Yeah, it paid for that piano I was just telling you about. That's broken. But we are the city won the first year. I think they're still playing. They're a really, really talented band from Kelowna, BC.
Right. Cool story about the left.
Mm-hmm. We broke up in LA because we were on tour down to
all the West Coast.
All the West Coast. We went all the way down to San Diego and back. So Seattle and
why no Mexico? You little. I would say not. Yeah, it's because if you go for the West Coast from Mexico,
we go to Cabo.
Well, Cabo will work.
I wouldn't. I love Cabo.
But all the states in the West Coast is just regional music, like banda. Yeah. You know, like the dancing music. Yeah, that kind of music. You have to go for that kind of music, you have to go to the big cities.
Yeah, we were
and
like
it's just three.
We were like a pop rock band.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
indie pop rock.
Yeah.
Something different about the way she offends me. She's always smoking her last cigarette. That's one of her songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I can find it in Spotify? You have it in there?
Yeah, I think it is in there. The Left, I think the album is called, I don't know. I should know this, but I really don't. I don't know what the album's called.
It's like 15 years ago, man.
Yeah.
You can see this looks young, but it's not.
The title track was Cellophane. I think maybe.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure.
Yeah, because Lorena heard your music.
That was a difference. So when we were down in the West Coast tour,
Yeah.
we there was always a lot of fighting and drama within the band, and it was always around the lead singer. The lead singer was a little bit of a mental case sometimes.
Okay.
I love the guy, but he was always very difficult and moody, and kind of like you needed to take care of him. And
Yeah.
and he
He's the lead singer. You need to put attention to him.
He could change the mood on the bus so quickly.
Oh my God.
And it was always, yelling, and it was a classic kind of band stories.
Okay.
We almost sent him home on a bus when we got to LA, because we're like, we can't do this anymore. We just can't deal with this asshole. It's terrible.
Yeah.
We later found out that he was coming off of some drugs and withdrawing as we were on tour, and so
he was like tense all the time.
Yeah. He was going through withdrawals, and we didn't know that. We thought he was just an asshole. He was already an asshole.
Yeah.
And then this made
it was like exponential.
This made it a lot worse. So, yeah, when we were in LA, I remember me and the two other guys in that band were walking around Hollywood Boulevard. We went to 7-Eleven and each got a bottle of wine. Bottle of wine for $2, by the way. So it's real quality stuff.
Yeah,
It was 7-Eleven wine.
Yeah. You cannot find good quality wine in a 7-Eleven.
No. But it was, we didn't even have $20 to our name at that point. So all the money we had was band money, and we weren't allowed to touch it. We felt rich, but we were very, very poor.
Okay. You're traveling, you're playing in different states.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we made just enough money to do it. Like, everything we made went back into hotels and travel and food, and we drank a lot. But we remember, me and the two guys got those 7-Eleven wines. We're walking around Hollywood, and we just discussed it. We're like, we're done. We can't do this band anymore. We need a new band, and it's just gonna be the three of us. And my guitar player had just cut his hair, and it was really long before, like down to past his nipples. And he had just got a new haircut. It's a pompadour.
Okay.
And we're sitting there, kind of drunk now, on a curb outside someplace. And he's like, well, what should the band name be? I'm like, well, you just got a haircut. Let's call it the Pompadours. So that was the next band.
Yeah, that's the
That's
band.
the band that
Lorena listened.
And we recorded some stuff.
Wow, that's the story of the name of the band.
Yeah. The lead singer of the old band always referred to us as the Pompadorks because he didn't love us that much.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But we did that for a while. We never really traveled with that band outside of BC because both the guys in the band had kids and wives and responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
So you're the youngest.
Yeah, we just kind of traveled around BC a lot.
Yeah.
And had like residencies in Victoria and Vancouver and other little cities here and there. But did that for a while, and then and just kind of we never broke up. We just kind of slowed until we stopped playing. Yeah.
And that happened when you were like 27.
Yeah. Yeah.
7, 29.
Yeah, totally.
And then
And I also, at that time, I got married to a woman.
Yeah. That was, when I heard that, I was like, okay, some things make sense. First was like my shock, and then I was like, yes, some things make sense.
Well,
and then
it took
life happens.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I'm a gay man. So,
Yeah.
you know. But I wasn't quite accepting myself at that time. And I fell in love with a woman. So I was like, you know what, this makes sense. So that also, I wasn't really doing a lot of music when I was married in terms of touring and that kind of music.
That happened when you get married, man.
But
you're just working and working your ass.
Yeah, but my job during that time was the worship leader at the biggest church in Western Canada. So I would sing the songs and lead the people in music and pray for them. And
when you were married.
Yeah, and it was a big church. So we did 5 services every Sunday. Each service had about 1,000 people in them.
Oh, it's a quite crowd there.
Yeah. I don't know how big that church is now, but at the time I think it was around 5,000 or 6,000 people. Multiple locations, multiple services. It was a big thing. So it was also, even though I was still doing music, you know. So I was singing to 5,000-6,000 people every week. I was on stage a few times a week. And it was my job.
You are doing music.
Yeah. And then during that time, I went back to Bible school for the second time because I wanted a raise.
Okay.
I went to my boss. I was like, "Hey, I'm really good at this thing. You know, I'd like to make more than the peanuts you're paying me because churches don't pay very well."
Yeah.
Because they're
for some people.
Yeah.
For some people,
everybody but the top is a slave.
Yeah.
They really get off on people serving, and come work for free, and it's okay though because it's for God.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take the fucking advantage out of you, and we're gonna profit off of it, but we're not gonna do any work.
Yeah.
But you guys do all the work. But it's okay. You're serving God.
Exactly.
Because He needs you too.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because He's selfish.
Yeah.
But anyways, I went to Bible school, and at Bible school, I was getting taught again, you know, what I've already known this whole time, and it was really easy for me to stay a Christian while I was doing the music and doing that side of things, because in the moment it really, really feels like God. Like you're in a room with, whether it's 100 people or 5,000 people, you're in a room and you're leading them in song, a song that you may have written, and it's connecting them to God in this way. You know when you're in a room and everybody's singing along with each other, there's that kind of like, ooh, this is a...
the energy. Yeah.
And when you believe that's, directed towards God, especially when everybody believes that, it's emotional, it's healing in a way, and it's super empowering. And I lived in that moment quite often. And so it really stopped me from questioning my faith and questioning if I actually believed in this bullshit or not. Because this all feels real. And the worship and the energy and kind of the spirituality coming from that aspect of my faith was overtaking any other questions I had, right?
Yeah, how do you say? I have to think the in English the word it's like it's an envelope.
Envelope.
And then it's in your mind, and then you go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. And that part of it was so real to me. It was so real. Yeah. So I did it, and I was proud to do it. And you'd look out,
but you feel okay, and it was okay for you.
Yeah, but when you look out into the congregation, and you see people crying and arms up and spiritually moved, and it was great.
You're the musician that is seeing that everything that from the stage.
They're at the front on their knees with their hands up, singing a song you wrote, and it's connecting them to God. So it was very, it just kind of blinded me to everything else that the Christianity was. It is, and so I was at Bible school, and I was hearing all of this information again. Not here, I already knew all the information. But I was just kind of seeing it through a different lens for the first time ever.
Because you were older, then you can analyze
100%.
and have autocritic, you would say?
Yeah. And at the time, I'm in the classroom with all of these younger people who wish they had my job. Like I was already working at the biggest church in Canada, doing what I wanted, doing a career in ministry.
Yeah.
And I looked around the room at all these, naive kids, and listening to this teacher who is not teaching truth, and just questioning it and being like, no, like this. Oh shit. This
is not right.
This isn't real. Damn it. Shit. And
so getting conflicts in your head.
Yeah. Well, I could no longer believe that anybody was going to hell. Hell can't be real. If God exists, he did not create a hell to send people who would, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And the God that I kept learning about through the Bible just seemed like not a God I wanted to serve in any way, shape, or form. And I also saw so many people use, especially Christianity, to be discriminatory towards people. As a gay man, I didn't understand how much that was affecting my ability to come out until I lost my faith. When I lost my faith, I was married. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get done. I need to come out now.
Yeah.
Looking back, I'm not regretful of my life or anything that led me to this point, because everything that's led me to any point is why you are who you are.
Yeah.
But I lost my faith.
I was shocked. I was shocked when I was in Guild Kitchen and I was working, and I know that you were singing, and one song stop, and then you are talking to the crowd and to the public, and then say like, hey, 5 years ago my life changed and I came out like a gay person, a gay man, and blah blah blah, and then you be yourself and accept yourself. And I was like, what, like 5 years ago, like Josh? And I was like thinking like you be like you like long time ago. And then 2 or 3 days after you came to the kitchen, and I was like talking to you like, come on, like 5 years, really? It was like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm still me, but I very much have evolved in the last 5 years. Even in the last couple of years, I've been way more okay with being a little more flamboyant or feminine, or comfortable in my own sexuality, that I don't give a shit if somebody sees me as being.
We're talking about the people who know you, they change the perspective about you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just for that, and I say to you like, hey, I like you like a person, not because you like dicks or vaginas. Like a person. Exactly. If you be a fucking asshole, a gay asshole is like a fuck you, no? Right?
Exactly.
It's the same. It's the same for everyone. Mm-hmm. Don't care what do you like. Mm-hmm. Like if you like apples or bananas, I don't fucking care. Like if you're a good person, you're a good person, or you're a cool person. Like I like to hang out, but all that transformation you have, the music is always there in your story.
Yeah, it is. Because as soon as I left my, just was separating from my wife, I met a couple guys who I started a band with, 2 of whom were pretty famous. They're on the show Riverdale. I won't name names, but they were the stars of that show.
Okay.
And we started a band and got a lot of attention from, just because of the guy in the band was really famous.
Okay.
We got some really cool opportunities. We actually recorded an album that I fucking wish could get released. But we don't own the rights to it, so we can't release it. Well,
you record it's already recorded.
It's already recorded.
It's already ready to go.
Can show you. I can't play it, but I can show you privately. And
okay. But
so what happened was we got approached by one of the guys on Pearl Jam's management team, who's in Seattle.
Wow.
And looking back, the reason he got in touch with us is because his daughter, who was like 8 or 9 or something, was a really big fan of the guy that was in the band from the TV show.
Okay.
Like she, had posters of him all over her walls. And so, she, this was a way for him to kind of like give her hey, come, I can introduce you to your hero.
Yeah.
So he contacted us and said he was going to be in Vancouver. And just coming up and like, maybe if you wanted to sit down, have lunch, like give some advice,
about the band, how do you sell it, and
and he really played up the fact that he was one of Pearl Jam's main guys, and Pearl Jam.
Your eyes are sparkling now.
Of course. So he comes up and he was actually pretty upfront with us before. He's like, I'm not looking to like manage you guys or like get in business with you guys. I'm already busy. But I just wanted to come and like say hi and give you some advice and maybe like mentor you a little bit. Or,
just casual.
In other words, let you meet my daughter and really impress her, which I totally understand. But then we were recording at the time and we brought him to the studio and played him some of our stuff. And a few weeks later, he's like, I want to do a project with you guys. And he brought us down to Seattle and we recorded an album in London Bridge Studios. Which is a very, very famous studio in Seattle. Owned and operated right now by Eric Lillois, who's on the Grammy board. He's a big-time producer down there. Pearl Jam recorded there, Soundgarden, but a lot of the Seattle bands that are synonymous with kind of the Seattle grunge move vibe in the 90s.
Yeah.
All went through that band. Macklemore recorded an album there. He's a Seattle guy.
That's good stuff happening there in Seattle in the 80s.
There always has been, yeah. And so we went down, recorded a whole album, and then kind of got into a little bit of a disagreement with them about because they brought us down. We didn't pay for anything. They just gave us the studio and gave us the, did it all for free essentially. Okay. I think, but with the intention of then managing us afterwards.
Okay.
And I still to this day think we should have probably just done it. I was always on the side of let's do it. Let's just do it. Mm-hmm. But there was a little bit of a disagreement within the band who should manage us. So we chose not to go with them. So then they didn't give us the music, which is fair. They wanted us to pay a couple $100,000 for it or something like that. And then we were going to re-record everything back in Vancouver, and then COVID happened. And both of the guys...
That's super...
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And then 2 of the guys in the band they live in LA, and so they couldn't come to Canada for the longest time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you are playing the drums in that band?
I was just the singer.
You're the singer.
Yeah, and then the main guy, the guitar player who was the celebrity in the band, he had a kid, and so our lives changed, and it kind of, and we can never be in the same city for more than a week or 2, anyways, because 2 of the guys are very, very busy actors.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just hasn't quite gotten.
How did you meet these guys?
I was really good. I'm really good friends with one of the guys. I was playing at Clue Club in Vancouver, and a buddy of mine came in. Or not a buddy now. He's one of my. I live with him now. He's my roommate.
Okay.
He walked in. I didn't know him, and he just saw me playing drums and singing, and he's like, "Let's hang out." And we started hanging out, and he actually grew up with one of the guys that was on the show.
Okay.
and lived with him in Vancouver because the show shot in Vancouver.
Yeah, this fucking this Canada, Hollywood.
Exactly. And he was on the show of the really famous guy. So that's how they knew each other.
Okay.
So those guys would all kind of jam and make music together. And then once my friend met me, he brought me into the group because they needed a singer.
And your roomie is also a musician.
Yeah. He played bass. I sang. A guy named Rob played drums, and a guy named KJ played guitar.
Okay.
And we had a really, really, really good musical chemistry and made a really, really, really good album. But it still has not seen the light of day. I'll show you later, but I can't play it publicly.
Because it's made by these guys in Seattle.
Well, so they don't own the songs, so we could re-record the songs. We just haven't been able to be in the same city
together again.
100%. Mm-hmm.
Wow, cool story.
But we'll see. I think there might be something coming up soon that. There might be something.
And then COVID happens. Everything's changed.
Yeah, and then
moved here.
COVID is when I started working at Guilt, which we should bring up, of course, because that's
one of the best places in Vancouver.
It's the best. I just found out from the owner, Jordan, that Guilt is the highest paying local music. They pay more to local musicians than anywhere else in Canada. Last year we paid
Canada. Canada.
Yeah.
Wow.
In terms of one venue.
Okay.
And obviously the local musicians meaning like not the big touring acts that sell out stadiums and shit.
Yeah. Local music.
Yeah, local music, and we paid out over $400,000 last year to Vancouver musicians.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal.
That's a lot of money.
And so when I first moved to Vancouver, after I came out and left my wife, I actually moved in with one of the guy in the band.
Yeah.
And I coming out of the church world and wanting to get back into the Vancouver music scene because I had been out of it for a couple of years. All I wanted to do was be a regular at Guilt. I'm like, if I could be one of those guys, I'll have made it.
Because before you working in Guild, you play in Guild sometimes, and do you want to play like often?
Well, before when I moved to Vancouver, I hadn't been in the Vancouver music scene for a little bit of time, and so I knew I needed to be in there. Let me pour you up here.
Thank you. I'm going for another beer.
Yeah, go for it. But before I really ever felt in the music scene in Vancouver, I knew that to get me there, I had to be in the Guilt world. Because that's where all the good musicians hung out. That's where all the good musicians played. I remember before I'd ever even played there, I went to see Corey Henry play there. He plays in Snarky Puppy.
Yeah.
Sean Varro is a regular.
First night. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, go.
First night I just entered. I was like, "Fuck, this is the bar that I want." In Mexico. Yeah. Like I was like, God damn, this is the thing that I just dream about. Because I don't know if you know by Lorena, but I used to have a live music bar. But we just have live music 3 days. And then every day that I work in Guild, I say like, for sure we have to, like our kitchen in our bar, it was not good enough. Like now we have in Guild. And then we don't pay the musicians good, like
a lot of bars don't pay their musicians.
Yeah. And I then like but the musician is like the make the bar the vibe of the bar.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people they know that it will be good music every day.
Guilt pays bands more than any bar in Vancouver, by far. You go I've played in all of them. Every now and then you get a little more, but like the music, the band rate hasn't gone up a lot in the last, 20, 30 years. When my mom was gigging when I was a kid,
Yeah.
she'd make the same amount that I'm making now.
And
per gig.
and now tell me the rent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas Guilt goes out of its way, and Jordan Stewart, the owner, he's really prioritized
Music.
music and putting music as a as the biggest.
Is it
thing.
top? Is it top?
It's the top thing.
Yeah.
And there's been years that he's not made money from that place and paid out of his pocket so that it could stay open and so that Vancouver musicians could have a home, essentially.
Yeah.
It's when you talk to all the guys that are the guys in Vancouver that play everywhere,
Yeah.
and Guilt is kind of home base.
Yeah.
Not all of them play there all the time because they're busy and touring and doing stuff, but at one point in their musical life, they played there a lot.
Nice.
And so when I moved to Vancouver, I'm like, I need to be a regular at that place.
I knew that I landed in like the good place.
You did. And so I played there a few times. When I first moved to the city, like I got in a few times and played a few times, but I was never like, a regular per se.
Yeah. That's a long list.
It took me a long time. It took me a long time to get on that because you have to know everybody too.
Yeah.
And it took me, the first several times I played there, I was just guesting. Crystal Dos Santos was Under the Harlem Moon.
Wow. They just fill the bar
They fill the room. And she is very, very good. We need to get her on the podcast, by the way. She's very, very good at finding young, unknown, not young, but just unknown talent in Vancouver and putting a spotlight on them. She's doing that currently with Under the Harlem Moon. Always kind of features one or two artists that aren't necessarily in the scene yet, but need to be.
Okay.
So she did that. Nice. She gave me that because I was playing with this other cover band, like casino gigs and the corporate events. And you're wearing a suit and you're going like this and you're singing backup and it's a little bit soul crushing.
Yeah, but you have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. I do those gigs every now and then still because it's a solid paycheck and you work for 2 hours and you're
and that's it.
Yeah. But I met Crystal at one of these gigs, and she invited me to come and guest at Harlem Moon. Probably now, this would have been in 2018, probably.
Okay.
Maybe 2019. Probably 2018. And that got me into the Guild world. And then I started gigging there myself.
Like just 1 year before I arrived.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after that year, you were regular in playing in Guild, and then you work there.
Mm-hmm. I became.
Because I was working already there before you, and
probably
like a few months, like maybe 2 months.
I started playing there really, really often, and especially then COVID hit, right?
Yeah.
And before COVID, I only ever made money from music. So I didn't, I've had a lot of weird jobs over the years, but in the last several years before COVID, I just did music. And then COVID happened and I wasn't a musician who had a savings account. I lived kind of from gig to gig.
Yeah.
And I get paid in cash. And so, every night I'd come home with an amount of money and that's how I lived. So as soon as all the gigs dried up, I was like, oh shit, I got to do something else here. I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And Guilt at the time was the only venue in Vancouver that still did music during the pandemic because we got away with it
with the food,
by saying it was background music because concerts were illegal, right?
Yeah.
And large gatherings for entertainment purposes were illegal, but you can still go to restaurants.
Yeah.
And so we technically were just a restaurant that had background music, even though it was a show. It was a concert. And so there was a time where you weren't even allowed to clap. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It was mask on, enter to your table.
Yeah.
If you go to the washroom here.
And if,
mask.
And if somebody saw it,
plexiglass,
get mad at you.
Yeah, plexiglass between tables and food is one priority, number one priority. And then, wow, it was horrible, man.
But during that time, because Guild was the only place that was open for music, I was playing there a ton. Because we were only allowed 2 people on stage at a time, because we couldn't have full bands. And it had to be about below a certain decibel meter so that it could be legally considered background music.
Okay.
So because I do a lot of duo stuff and I can do stuff without a band, I was doing a lot of stuff. And
wow, that's super.
And just kind of getting to know everybody on staff and connecting more and more. And then I went up to Brandon, the general manager, and I was like, "Hey, like, you guys hiring? Like, I'm not doing anything else, and I need to make money.
Yeah.
Maybe this? Can I work here?" And he said, "All right," but because he'd known me just as like the musician party guy. And I mean, every time I came in, I got wasted and had fun. He was a little hesitant. He's like, "Well, yes, but like this isn't."
You know how to work.
When you come here, you're not just having a good time. You're working, right? And I'm like, and so I was very, my intention was to show him that I was going to work real hard. Yeah. and
I saw you the first months. Like,
yeah, I was
like. I can say now that you are one of the best, how do you say, MOD?
Managers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like really working.
I started working there, and then I think about 2 months later, I got promoted to one of the managers, which was honestly for me.
Because you started in support. Because it was 2 months. I always remember you like a MOD.
Well, honestly, and for me,
that's cool.
For me, it was. It's the biggest honor to have the keys to that place.
Yeah.
You know? And
it's a fucking great place.
When I got hired, I remember I went up to the owner, because he was in one night, and I just said, "Hey, listen," I shook his hand. I said, "It is an honor to work here. It is an honor to be here. This is my favorite place in the world. It's the place that I feel the most comfortable. It's the place I feel most at home. It's the place I know I'm surrounded by my people."
I say something like that to Brandon.
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is a fucking great bar, man. Like, you don't believe that the excitement that this like be here after hours and just having a beer with you people in this bar. There's something that it was in my mind all the time. Like, even when I put my bar in Mexico, and he was just like, just laughing because." Maybe he cannot believe it that I was so excited to see Guild is a fucking great bar.
No, but that's like it's such a special, unique place. And when I talked to the owner that first night, I shook his hand. I said, "I promise you, I will do everything for this place.
Take care of this baby.
I'm going to work so hard for this place, not because of any other reason than that this place is
special.
It's like my new church. it honestly is.
Yeah.
And it was good because I remember when I got the keys.
It's your church of music.
When I got the keys, I almost cried because I thought it was just so special. And
now you are opening this place, or you are closing this space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. And and I still play a lot. Obviously, I play a lot of gigs. When I got hired at Guilt, I told the manager, I said, "Listen," the guy Brandon, I told him, "I'm still going to do gigs, and if I get an opportunity to play music, that's always my number one priority." And the great thing about Guilt is that's totally good. Like, they know that a lot of people that work there are artists, and that the art comes first.
The half of the staff of Guild&Co is musicians.
Exactly. Yeah.
So sometimes you can be drinking there, and the server will serve you 2 cocktails, and after that, he will go to the stage and sing a song.
Exactly.
And then go there to the bar.
That's the funnest thing in the world. When I was working on the floor, and I get to go on stage and sing a song, and then come down and go back and serve a drink.
Yeah, it's super professional.
Having that interaction afterwards with the guest is my favorite thing. But
I see Lua singing there.
Yeah,
Morgan,
Adam's
you,
there.
Bradley.
Yeah.
There's a lot of musicians working there.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so I still play a lot, but like, I don't see myself leaving Guilt. Unless music comes to a place where I,
absorb you totally.
I'm touring again or something,
Yeah.
which is very possible. But until that point, I'm going to stay there because it's by far the happiest place in Vancouver for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great place.
It's a great place. And I'm speaking of this podcast, I'm very excited to get other people's perspective on that place.
Yeah, because we are bringing musicians that plays in that space, in that bar, and from all Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. And other, all of Canada and the world.
Yeah. I know that Jordan is not a musician, but we can put it in this set.
I would love to do that.
And why he keep it?
Yeah.
Why he's like a... I saw or I read a paper in internet about that. This guy is putting music on the top, and I was like, oh, cool. And it was like my third month here in Vancouver. I was like, okay, so it's
he's the only. It's him and another owner. Jordan and I don't know if I think she might be a silent owner, so I don't know if I can say her name.
Yeah.
It's Jordan and his partner, and they have. I know they've gone out of pocket a lot.
Yeah.
To keep it open, and to make sure that we have a place to do what we do,
and local musicians also play there.
And it's also the biggest networking place. Like since I've started, being a regular there, I get a lot more calls to do other things because people know me from there.
Yeah.
When somebody needs a singer or a drummer or somebody to come sit in or somebody to come do a recording project or something, most of the time I get those calls. It's because they know me from that place. So it's. Cool. It's the
temple of the musician.
Honestly, it really is.
Yeah.
And it's the place that has the
one of the best places in Gastown. I think so. I don't want to diminish other places.
No,
but
it's the best place in Vancouver. Yeah. Anytime somebody comes in,
and if you have a live music basement, what else do you want, people?
Every time somebody comes in that hasn't come in before, and I'm walking them around or talking to them. I always like to, we get a lot of our guests are coming for the first time. We get, of course, a lot of people coming back, but a lot of Gastown is
I think
tourists and people coming for the first time, and they look up places to go in Vancouver, and our name is on one of the top things.
In the top.
So they come check it out, and I'm walking them to their seat or greeting them at the door. And they say, this is our first time. And I look at them right in the eyes and say, this is going to be a great night. It's going to be a great night because you're in the best place in Vancouver. I can't wait for you to have this experience. Yeah. And
good music, good cocktails,
amazing food.
For sure, good food.
Amazing food. And then almost always those people, will come and find me or stop me before they leave and say, oh, my God.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this was the best.
Yeah, you say it to me, and yeah, cool.
100%.
So I think this is a wrap.
I think maybe. Yeah, and that was great.
Yeah, amazing.
I'm excited to discuss more.
Josh with us, people. Josué, ese es el nombre que le digo yo en español. Pero bueno, it's Josh. He will be the new host in English. He will be interviewing all the musicians here.
Are you going to be also here?
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm not going to just do this by myself.
No. I'll be here. I will support you behind camera, everything. Maybe making some questions.
I want you should sit in. I want you on camera.
And see you in the next one. Thank you, people.
Thank you, guys.